All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful assets you can possibly build in your career, and that's your personal brand. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, an employee, or just getting started. Learning how to shape the way people see you is truly a superpower. So let's get into how you can start building yours. To really set the stage, let's start with this quote. Brand is everything, and everything is brand. This just perfectly nails the idea that your brand isn't some shiny logo or a clever tagline. No, it's the sum total of everything you do, every interaction, every post, every project. It's a living thing, not a one-time assignment. So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, but is my personal brand really that big of a deal? Well, let's just look at the data for a second. On average, employees have 10 times more followers on social media than their company's official accounts. That is a massive and usually untapped sphere of influence. And it's not just about the size of the audience either. The content that's shared by actual people gets 8 times more engagement than the same stuff shared by a corporate brand. And why is that? Well, it's simple. People connect with other people. There's a layer of trust and authenticity there that big brands just find really, really hard to replicate. And that brings us to this final, just staggering data point. 92% of people trust recommendations from other individuals, even folks they don't know personally, over any kind of brand advertisement. So what this all boils down to is this. Your personal voice is so much more powerful than you probably think. Okay, so those numbers make it pretty clear why a personal brand matters. But what exactly is one? Let's break that down. You can think of it like this. Personal branding is the intentional process of shaping the story that people tell about you when you're not in the room. It's about being deliberate with the image you project to the world, instead of just letting it happen by accident. Now, this right here gets to the very heart of the challenge. See, on one side, you've got how you see yourself, your own traits, your values, the vision you have for your life. And on the other side, well, that's how the world actually sees you. And believe me, there's almost always a gap between the two. And that is our mission. The 7-step process we're about to walk through is basically the blueprint for building that exact bridge. It's all about closing that gap between who you know you are and how you're actually seen. So let's get into the first phase of this plan, building your brand foundation. I like to call this the inner work, because before you can project anything outwards, you have to get crystal clear on what's going on inside. These first 4 steps, they are that foundation. We're going to start by identifying the traits you want to be known for, and then we'll do some research to see how people currently perceive you. After that, we'll define a long-term vision and clarify the core values that are going to guide you. Okay, step 1. The goal here is to be really specific. I want you to choose about 5 key traits you want to be known for. Are you creative, trustworthy, maybe innovative, or super organized, or a natural leader? Seriously, write them down. Now, this question is the perfect acid test for those traits you just wrote down. It forces you to get out of your own head and think from an outside perspective. Is what you want to be known for what people would actually say about you? Be honest. All right, step 2 is about facing reality. This is your reality check. You've got to do some honest research on yourself, and this isn't about guessing, it's about gathering real data. Ask a few trusted colleagues for some candid feedback. Maybe send out a simple survey. And definitely do a deep dive audit of your social media. What story does your digital footprint tell about you right now? Next up, your vision. Look, your personal brand shouldn't just be for today. It needs to be the vehicle that helps you get where you want to go tomorrow. Whether that's starting your own company, stepping into a big leadership role, or making a complete career change, your brand has to be aligned with that long-term goal. And finally, for this foundation phase, your values. But listen, here's the absolute key. Values without proof are totally meaningless. It's not enough to just say you value community. You need tangible proof points. So a proof point could be the volunteer work you do, the causes you publicly support, or the organizations you're affiliated with. These visible actions are what make your values real and believable to everyone else. Fantastic. Okay, with that foundation solidly in place, we can now shift gears from that internal discovery to external action. This next part is all about strategy and, more importantly, execution. And that brings us to our final 3 steps, what I call the outer journey. Here, we're going to analyze those gaps we found in our research, build a solid strategy to close them, and then crucially, measure our progress to make sure it's all actually working. Now, we're combining steps 5 and 6 here because, honestly, they're two sides of the same coin. First, you analyze the gap between your desired brand and your current perception. Then, you build a concrete strategy to bridge that gap. This could mean anything from changing up your social media content to actively networking with certain people to seeking out projects that really showcase those traits you want to be known for. But how do you know if your strategy is paying off? Well, you have to measure it. As you can see here, we can set up a really clear framework for this. You can track your social presence, things like follower growth and engagement. You can track your values alignment by looking at the strength of your new proof points. And you can track your progress toward that long-term vision. This isn't about vanity. It's about strategic assessment.
And that brings us to our conclusion, which honestly contains probably the most important principle of all.
You have to remember, personal branding is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. As you grow, as your career evolves, as your goals change, your brand should evolve right along with you. The point isn't to create some static, perfect image of yourself. The goal is to create an authentic one that has room to grow. So let's just recap the big ideas here. First, start thinking of your brand as a powerful strategic asset. Second, use a structured, research-based approach. Don't just guess. Third, work to align your traits, vision, and values with how you're actually perceived. And finally, always remember this is a continuous loop of analyzing, refining, and measuring, with authenticity as your North Star. I just want to leave you with this final thought. I know this whole process can feel a little daunting, but it's really all about taking small, consistent steps. Don't worry about getting it perfect overnight. The single most important thing you can do is just begin. Thanks for tuning in.